This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
Anytime is a good time to break a bad habit. Could be making improvements to your routine at home. Maybe it's your job performance. Could be physical health, financial health. The time to make a positive change for your future right now. But Scott, only 33% of Americans have a written financial plan. So a lot of people winging it when it comes to spending. And how could we break the bad habit of living without a budget, Scott?
How to break a bad habit. It'd be like telling me not to have cake and ice cream, and I love cake and ice cream. You know, breaking that habit is, you have to first come to a point, do I want to break a bad habit? And that's where it comes in the area of money. When you start to see your money dwindling down, maybe it's time to put the brakes on and then say, okay, I need help. Maybe you get some help. A lot of people don't think they need help. They think they got it in control, but sometimes the wives or the husbands know better. And so again, knowing there's a problem is the start. Like Alcohol Anonymous, knowing there's a problem, we can start from that. Then of course, the next area is once you understand there's a problem, okay, a budget. And that I call that the cuss word. So you got 6 letters in the word budget. And as you think about the word budget, are you spending too much? It'll catch you. And when I tell our clients before they retire, I love to meet people before they retire, either they're new to us or maybe they're heading into retirement. What I like to do is give them a budget sheet. And if they get a budget sheet, I ask them almost like the best place to put it on the refrigerator so they can see it. Alex, my mom and dad, I have to use this example as a habit. A good habit or a bad habit. They did have a budget on the sheet. I think it was for us, my sister and I. But the most important thing is my dad did the bills. My dad ended up telling my mom, literally saying to my mom, I remember when I was younger, Joan, you're going to write the bills out. You're going to see what we're spending. Because when dad does it all the time, she didn't know what was going out. So mom would go out and buy things and just spend money, well, haphazardly. And I think the challenge, Alex, what I see more often than not is one person is a Scrooge.
Poppycock. Balderdash. There.
And the other person is, spendthrift. They having a blast. And I think that's where the challenge is when a married couple start to argue about money, whether they're young or now they're in retirement. And now that, Alex, we're facing a real crunch called inflation, money goes much faster and you have to keep an eye on the budget. So mom and dad had a budget on the board, which I tell my clients and people meeting us for the first time, let's have a budget. Let's get together 3 to 6 months before you retire and see if you can stay within your budget. Let's start spending that money now. Alex, this is a hard process, but a powerful process if people are out there. So if they're doing this, I don't know if this answers your question. I hope it answers some of you out listening. But if you're fixing to go into retirement, put a budget together and just watch. And you're allowed to make mistakes. Why? Because you're going to. But when you make the mistakes, you're going to learn where they are. And I can tell you, it'll catch you when you're making those mistakes. You'll be able to kind of figure out what you need to work on. So breaking that habit.
Well, and Scott, one of those mistakes is just being complacent, not making adjustments to your portfolio, not paying attention to fees that you're paying. Keeping money with financial institutions just because it takes you time to explore other options. So how can working with you really avoid being too complacent with your retirement savings?
I think whether it's with me or with their current financial advisor or with anybody they're working with, if they're not asking to see what's going on, and maybe you're not humble enough, if you're out there listening, maybe you're not humble enough to ask for help. maybe it's time to get a little bit humble and say, you know what, maybe I need some help. Because procrastination is like a friend of mine says, what does procrastination mean? Well, I'll tell you tomorrow. They put it off until later. I think the challenge is, again, looking at your numbers, not putting it off, and then getting help for someone who's, this is all I do for a living is work with people and guide them, not tell them, not dictate what to do, but guide them into making some smart decisions with their money so they don't run out of money before they run out of life. And that's the challenge I find.
And Scott, people want to reach out for more information. How could they do that?
Man, I'd love to be able to speak to you off the air. You were able to give us a call at our studios, 609-488-4646. Let me help you out before you give our studios a call. You might want to write down some questions before you call. That way you're really prepped with maybe I really need help in this area. Now, again, you want to give our studios a call at 609-488-4646. Bonnie at my office will make a time for us to speak if I'm in meetings. But I can tell you, I appreciate those of you that maybe just need a little help in that area. By the way, Alex, sidebar real quick.
Yeah.
I had a lovely couple come in. They do taxes with us. They did their will, power of attorney, living will. They did their trust with us. But the gentleman, 81 years old, wife, 86 years old, came in today. Now, they've been doing taxes and their estate plan with us for now going on 7 years. He's 81. We sat down just today, as we were speaking to each other, and I was amazed they came back in. So I said, guys, how can I help you? What can I help you with? And he goes, my husband, the wife, the beautiful lady, she said, Scott, my husband needs help. I said, well, y'all still like each other? And they said, yeah. Well, they started cracking up. I said, well, I'm so happy. I said, what kind of help you need? He goes, well, I think my husband's maybe forgetting things. And I'd like to know how to get all of my required minimum distribution tax-free, because my girlfriend just put a kitchen in and she pays no taxes. What I'm getting at, for those of you listening right now, is a misunderstanding from listening to others. In other words, they don't know her income. Maybe she's in a zero tax bracket and she took money out of her IRAs and it didn't really bother her tax bracket. In this client's case, they have over $2 million and the market has been really evaporating their accounts. And they have to pull out $55,000 in RMD money this year. And they want me to help them, of course, give them the holy grail, no taxes. Well, that dog don't hunt. So I had to walk through the process of A, what they're hearing from other people. B, maybe your husband needs to change the way he invests. And he looked at me and he said, Scott, I think I need help. His wife looked at him almost with who is this guy? He never asked for help. He knew he was at the point he needed help. And I said, well, who do you need help from? Would you like it from me? Are you looking for another advisor? Scott, we've been with you for so many years. You've never tried to sell us anything. Frankly, you never even asked us to do business with you until we felt comfortable. And that's why we liked coming here, because you didn't twist our arm. Well, we finally discovered today that not only was his investments risky, but he was investing, Alex, in a CDs at 2% when he could get right now in different vehicles guaranteed 4.5% right now. Right. If you're listening to right now, I'm telling you, as of this show, I guess this show, Alex, I don't know the date of this show, but as of this show, and you might want to give our studios a call at 609-488-4646 to find the latest rates, because the rates have been getting better. But they said, you mean I can get that kind of money guaranteed? I said, yes. I'm not even going to, there's no fees, no cost. And I can take the money out. And if I pass away, it's all completely liquid. It's not tied up like these other types of vehicles. They were tickled pink. His wife looked at me. She said, Scott, this money isn't for us. It's for my children and grandchildren. What am I going to say to her? When you get your RMD, why don't you enjoy the children and give them some money, and maybe they'll really appreciate, especially in this inflationary time. And of course, crazy market. And again, habits. They have the money, but their best friend probably didn't have the money. Their best friend was not paying taxes, but maybe, and I know they're paying tremendous taxes. So we're able to work the tax structure out and educate her. And finally, they came to the point where the husband said, Scott, we need help. So if you're out there and you're thinking, you know what, perhaps I need help. Perhaps you want a second opinion. Probably all smart people get second opinions. Frankly, when my mom and dad got cancer, we didn't get a second opinion. We got a third and fourth opinion before I said, I think enough is enough. We need to take action. I don't know if you're out there thinking about that, but I can tell you, this is not a time to procrastinate. It's like our nation. What do you call a country that pushes off everything until the last minute? I call that procrastination. You're putting things off. Don't do that to your finance. Alex, I don't know if that's real clear to people, but,
No,
I hope as you speak to many audiences, Alex, you speak to people around the United States, and I appreciate your time with your media company, that you're helping me guide these people to make sound decisions with their money. But it comes to number one, realizing you need help, as we spoke about. Number two, coming to the conclusion, who's best to help me? And number three, don't just run to the first guy and gal you meet. Make sure there's a track record. They look at the taxes, the estate planning, and the investment, because this is holistic investing, not simplistic investing, to have so you can sleep well at night, knowing that your money's in a very good place.
Well, and Scott, you don't want to wait too long either. There's so much involved here. You're talking about fees. You're talking about tax efficient strategies. There's certain windows of time that are so important when you're talking about retirement.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's just so many details here. And that's why it is just so important for people not to procrastinate, to not get complacent. Some real keywords here today. But again, your message to the folks out there, if people are sitting there and they haven't acted, again, reiterate why you can be somebody, whether it's a first option, maybe a second opinion, but can just help explain the different nuances that need to be addressed.
Alex, you couldn't have said that better. And for those listening right now, I'd like to offer you a unique opportunity to say, you know what? I think I'd like to get a second opinion. I'd like to pop in and perhaps get some ideas. If you're out there, you know what? Best way, maybe make a phone call. This way you don't feel like you're getting twisted or sold or coerced into buying something. When I do workshops, and if you haven't been to my workshops, we usually do workshops on a monthly basis. We do 2 or 3 workshops a month, if not 4 workshops. Since COVID was around, we were doing almost 1 workshop a week, and we were educating people. Not one meeting did we ever ask to buy a product, to do a service. Let's just have a conversation. And if people have been to our website, Alex, which is 609-488-4646.com, go there right now. I encourage, if you're listening right now, 609-488-4646.com. Take a look at our website. And the reason why I tell you that is because you're going to be able to see what we're about if you go about us. And you'll see a wonderful, we made this during COVID to help people understand, hey, we want to help. And Alex, this is my 41st year. We don't beg or bug anybody. As I call my staff, we pleasantly persist if you want our help. If not, we're still here. So if you decide you want a second opinion, or like the family today, they just want to revisit, well, why don't you just come in? But if you're on the website right now, 609-488-4646, I encourage you to click that button where it says contact us, and you'll see where a button says our team. Contact us, click on our team, and you'll see a video of a couple of our clients, and I think that'll help you.
Scott McLean, McLean Tax Advisory Group. More financial insanity on the other side.
Hi, this is Bonnie from McLean Advisory Group, wishing you comfort, hope, and joy. Happy holidays. Thanks for listening.
Scott McLean at McLean Advisory Group often talks about the difference between retirement savings and retirement income. It isn't necessarily how much money you have saved that's most important. It's having a steady stream of income in retirement no matter how long you live. Scott has strategies that can help you create consistent monthly income for the rest of your life. He can help you make important decisions today so you can have the income you need in retirement. Having a big nest egg is great, but how will it provide you with the income you need for as long as you live? The number to get more information from Scott at McLean Advisory Group is 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Turn your portfolio into a plan with help from Scott McLean. 609-488-4646. Investing involves risk. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
There are millions of articles online talking about investing, tax planning, budgeting, everything you could think of when it comes to preparing for retirement. There's lots to know. Important facts about your financial future. Scott, we know knowledge is power, but there's more to financial success than just book smarts. There's also the psychology of money, and that's what we're going to get into here a little bit. Remember, if you have any questions, you hear something, it might bring something forth, you might want to get in front of Scott. That number, 609-488-4646. And when we're talking about the psychology of money, we're talking about Morgan Housel, who's the author, partner at Collaborative Fund, former columnist at Motley Fool, and also the Wall Street Journal. Author of the book, Psychology of Money. And Scott, I'm going to play a clip here as Morgan, that is, says there's more to financial success than just what you know about money and the world of finance.
But I think there's so much evidence that what matters in investing is not about what you know. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about where you went to school. It's just how you behave. It's about your relationship with greed and fear, your ability to take a long-term mindset, who you trust, how gullible you are, who you seek your information from. That's what actually matters. That's what moves the needle. And we tend to ignore that because it is not analytical.
What do you think of that, Scott?
You know, what's important, I think, is knowledge is power. You said at the very beginning, and I think he's alluding to the same thing. Knowledge is not power unless applied. You could have as much knowledge as you want. You could be the smartest man in the world. You could be an Einstein. But if you're not applying that knowledge, I just call you double butt dumb because you're not applying what you're learning. And you could be smart. Everybody's got the answers. The question is, are they applying it? And this is so true in the psychology of money. I've even put it in my book. Are people applying the knowledge now? Are they applying it now in this broken economy that's going on at this point? And the question is, in this broken economy, I'm thinking, okay, what do we do? And so this is really important to get around people who've been doing this thing for a long time.
Well, and Scott, I'm sure you see this, but people kind of struggling with the mental and emotional side of money, right?
So emotional. Imagine, as I mentioned in the book, here you are, you're a 15-year-old kid, and you want to go to the fair with your friends. And so you work all day and you mow the lawns and you saved up $100, and you're going to go there, and your mom and dad says, yes, you can go. And you're going to go to the amusement park and you have to pay for it. Now you go on this wonderful loop-de-lee ride, and out of your pocket drops $50. That's right, $50. Yikes. Now, for those of you who are a millionaire, you lose $50. Big deal. It's not a big deal. You lose $50. I mean, obviously you're upset. But for the kid, he lost 50% of his hard work as the loop came out of his pocket, money came out, and he's looking all over because he couldn't afford more rides. The question is, can you afford a quality retirement? Are people paying attention to the old school investing? And I think that is what I know. I know what happens is the psychology of money is so important. Should you buy? Should you hold? And I think this is what I was taught when I was with a big firm, and I know for sure that the psychology of money makes people do things wrong at the wrong time. And the question is, let's get to know you better. If you have questions and you're saying, should I get in? a market? Is it time to buy? Is it time to sell? Is it time to cross my fingers and do the Hail Mary and hopefully things get better? No, it's time to get some great, maybe second or third opinion, because that's what smart people do. I can promise you.
609-488-4646, 609-488-4646 if you want to contact Scott and his team. We're talking about the psychology of money today, both as a concept and also a book written by Morgan Housel, who says we almost have it backwards with how we teach about finance.
You know, what is most important gets most ignored in this field. And even when we are teaching basic financial skills to people, it's the math equations and how to balance a checkbook, which are great skills. I'm not demeaning those in the slightest. But there's so much evidence that all that matters, that's the right word to use, is your behavior with money. And I say that because you can be the smartest person in the world. You can have a PhD in finance from MIT. But if you lose your head during a market decline, if you panic during a market decline, none of your intelligence matters.
Wow, that's so true, isn't it, Scott?
That's for sure, because those people that are older, who have been through the dot-com bubble from the year 2000 to 2003, the stock market dropped 50%. Then it came back by 2007, and it finally got back. So they wiped their brow. They did wonderful. For those of the people that were working, they could care less because they're dollar cost averaging, and they got their money back after that 7 years of no growth, followed by, again, the market dropping October 2007 to 2009. And now the market drops almost 60%, 60%. Now, I say this to understand market history. If people believe history has a way of repeating itself, here's the concern. It took from 2007 till 2013 to break even. From 2000. That's 13 years of no growth. So where do you invest? Maybe people should start thinking as they shift, for those older people, by the way, retirees like myself, although I'm not retired, I love working. For those retirees that are heading into retirement, yes, shift to income-producing vehicles. Income-producing vehicles, even if the stock market goes down, long as they pay a dividend, which is why you're buying these income-producing vehicles, whether it's dividends or interest, you're still getting a check coming in. You're living for the income. You're not living for the growth. Because again, as I mentioned, from 2000 to 2013, there was no growth. Yet all the artificial printing of money 5 different times until 2014, the money finally came back until 2013 and then went up. Could this be the third leg down in a stock market correction? Could it continue to go down? So the psychology of money is understanding, do I need it now? Am I depending on it? It's more than just saying, hey, get out. Maybe you need to stay. This is really, really important. And I can tell you the psychology of money, and our job as a financial advisor, a fiduciary, is to help people walk them through the several different scenarios, not just put them in I call it the cookie cutter syndrome, the 70-30, the 60-40, the 40-60. Well, those cookie cutters scenarios, or I say portfolios, it could be totally detrimental. This is why they need to get sound advice right now. And someone who's been through this jungle, not some brand new people, nothing wrong with this. New people, there's a bunch of brilliant people, but the people that can take action, not just knowledge on top, but they can knowledge on tap.
Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, out of the box thinking for your financial sanity. And we're talking about the psychology of money, and we're talking about people's emotions and how money and emotions can be tied together, and how Scott can come in and say, I've seen this before, whether it's a market correction, market crash, whether, volatility, inflation, all these things. Scott has seen this before. And so it's a great balance of your emotions coming in with your situation and Scott's experience coming in as well, just to keep you level-headed and make sure you don't do something because it's, knee-jerk reaction or, something that it's great to trust your gut, but sometimes you got to come in and also get another opinion as well. And Scott, just tell people about how if people have questions, if people maybe think, maybe my emotions are taking over here, I need somebody to come in here and really just make sure I'm staying level-headed. How can people do that?
I think what's important is to think about, well, how much do I have? Am I rich? Am I poor? There was a study out of Harvard, and they did a study before if people want to get some advice, and the study found that the rich are still not satisfied. You see, when the market took a big collapse in 2008, and here you're in the streets of Boca Raton, Florida, beautiful, very, very wealthy area, the rich people were not buying a lot of stuff. They got plenty of money. It's almost the thought, the psychology, I don't want to burn more cash. They did a study, and over 4,000 millionaires in the United States was asking about how much money would it be to make them happy. And of course, each millionaire was asked to report how much they currently had. And of course, how happy were they, scale of 1 to 10. I don't know if you heard about the study, but then how much money they thought they would need to get at least a 10 on the scale of happiness. Shockingly, 26% of the largest respondents was assigned to 10 times more. The largest possible option given 24 times more. And then, of course, they said, followed by 23%, they said, I want 2 times more. Only 13% responded said they currently have enough to be happy. I guess happiness comes from, the psychology of money as we're discussing. Do you have enough? Will it last? Am I invested correctly? This is why people give our studios a call, 609-488-4646. They give our studios a call saying, Scott, what do you think I'm at? Let me see your portfolio. I've got several times people call up. They'll send over their portfolio in our secure portfolio thing online, and they upload it. My staff brings it to me, so I'm able to talk to people. If you'd like to do that, we'll be happy to do that. No cost, no obligation. But the challenges we're talking about right now, Alex, that you're bringing this up, that even the rich people are still not satisfied. As I talk about in the book, good book I read, is what is your definition of contentment? Are you content? Do you have enough? What is enough? And I can tell you more times than not that contentment starts in your soul. And I'm not here preaching at people, but let me make it clear to you and help you understanding where you're investing and how it works. There's nothing worse than your lovely spouse passing away, and now you lose your Social Security or her Social Security, your spouse's Social Security. Your income now reduced. Maybe they chose a different pension option that's off the table. Now you're wondering, do I have enough? If you're in that boat and you're concerned about the markets, I'd love to talk to you. Let's have a down-to-earth discussion, because right now is not a time to relax, almost like a deer in the headlights, relax and do nothing. You could be the smartest person in the world, as our gentleman said, with the MIT doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
But the application of knowledge, the implementation of knowledge, seeking other people who have been down that road before is so important and so cautionary that you should do something. And if that's on your heart, please give me a call off the air. I'd love to talk to you. 609-488-4646. I will not twist your arm. I will not put it behind your back. You've got to work with me. Let's just have a conversation. You stay with your advisor, stay with your advisor. That's fine. Our business is very, very well. Our clients are tremendously wonderful. And you know what? We're here to help you. If you've got questions, I've got answers. Give me a call off the air at our studios, 609-488-4646, which is why I'm such a proud sponsor of WBNJ, because we've done so many tons of educational radio shows just like this one, because we're not here to sell you, it's to educate you, which is why when I wrote the book, The Three Blind Mice, Do those advisors ask detailed, important questions? Give me a call off the air. I'd love to talk to you.
Sometimes the most intelligent thing to do is to know that there's someone out there that maybe is a little bit more intelligent in a certain area than even I am, and that could be Scott for you when it comes to retirement planning. Scott McLean, and you're listening to Financial Insanity, out of the box thinking for your financial sanity. More to come.
Scott McLean at McLean Advisory Group often talks about the difference between retirement savings and retirement income. It isn't necessarily how much money you have saved that's most important. It's having a steady stream of income in retirement no matter how long you live. Scott has strategies that can help you create consistent monthly income for the rest of your life. He can help you make important decisions today so you can have the income you need in retirement. Having a big nest egg is great, but how will it provide you with the income you need for as long as you live? The number to get more information from Scott at McLean Advisory Group is 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Turn your portfolio into a plan with help from Scott McLean. 609-488-4646. Investing involves risk. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
It's really as if the entire world of finance is putting the cart before the horse when it comes to how we learn about financial concepts and how we implement them in the real world. And we talk a lot about financial knowledge and know-how, but today we're learning that there's a psychology of money. Morgan Housel wrote a book called The Psychology of Money.
If you get caught up in the excitement of a bubble, none of your intelligence, none of your academic credentials, none of the fact that you know the formulas, none of that matters if you're going to lose your cool when it matters most. That's why the behavior is not just an important part, it's really the base of the pyramid. And until you've checked that box of figuring out your own financial psychology, none of the analytical skills matter until then.
It's true, Scott. You got to know yourself. You got to know yourself when it comes to money. And also you got to know where somebody like you might be able to jump in and assist.
Yeah. It's the swinging of the marketplace. One day it's up and one day it's down. You know, one thing I've noticed is in the early on in my business, when the market was really taking a tank in 1986, 87, I noticed people were panicking. I know the financial advisors were jumping out the window. I remember in Texas, the advisors were leaving the business. It was very, very scary. And I'm like young. I didn't really, I was 26, 27, 28 years old. Didn't think much of it. I just didn't understand because it's for me as I got in the business at 23. And I guess now I'm an old timer. Now I'm 63. But at 23, 24, 25, 26, I'm not worried about the stock market because I've got a long time. Boy, things change when your life is starting to shorten, and now you have to make sure your money lasts a long time. So again, when they say hang in there, don't worry, it'll come back, that is where the psychology and then the understanding the client is so important. Because I can promise you, if that's all the money they have, they need to be in a different investment. If they can't handle the swings of Wall Street, they need to be in a different types of investment. And so when I speak to people, I think the biggest question is there's some vehicles that the stock market goes up, you can get some of the gain. But if the stock market drops, you don't lose a penny. Now, there's vehicles like that are out there. I say it this way. Everybody wants cake and ice cream, but they don't want the cholesterols or the weight or the fat or the carbohydrates, right? Everybody wants that. And the question is, what do you gotta have? And this is why you need to look at all the different types of investments before you buy an investment. And I can tell you, when you go to buy investments, hopefully the person that you're meeting with is educating on how it works. So there's a person that came in and they showed me an investment. And they said, well, Scott, they guaranteed 6%. I looked at the investment. I said, wow, 6% guaranteed. This sounds wonderful. Yeah. And it was called an annuity. a variable annuity. I didn't understand that. And so I looked at it and I said, well, okay, I know what it was. It wasn't a guaranteed 6% on their money. It was a guaranteed 6% on their money that went to an income bucket. Now, the market was fluctuating, so the market was down almost 23% when I was speaking to this person just a short time ago, and they had $300,000 in this account. Well, the account now, I'm looking at it, and they said, Scott, we don't know what to do. We got this. And they said they guaranteed 6%. And I noticed that the account was down from $300,000 to $286,000. That doesn't sound like a lot. But by the way, it went up to 420. But they had an income for life product on there. In other words, the cash value was not the guaranteed 6%. It was the income for life option. But on top of that, I noticed after calling the company with that person, they were paying almost 4%. It's actually 4.125. But let's just say 4% for those listeners. 4% of $300,000. Well, I don't know about you, but that was $1,000 a month was in fees. That's what it averaged, 1,000.
That's significant.
And by the way, they had it for 3 years. And you can do the math. What's 12,000 times 3? They didn't even know how their money was evaporating on one end, but they had the 6% income for life, and they were totally dissuaded. I can promise you there's a lot of vehicles out there that are just not right for you listening. And if you have questions, I'd like to talk to you off the air. We have answers for you. I will tell you this. I'm not here to sell you anything. If I can educate you and give you guidance, I'm very happy to do that. You know, for now going on our 41st year, we don't need to beg or bug. We just want to educate you and help you make the right decision for your money. Because right now is not a time to sit on your laurels, eat the cake and ice cream and put the weight on. No, now's not the time for that. Now's the time to make sure, are you in a good position? Will it withstand your retirement? Will it last to your beneficiaries or your lovely spouse? 609-488-4646. I'd love to answer your question, your concern. 609-488-4646. Hey, by the way, Alex, that's our website. If you just send 609-488-4646.com, you'll go right to our website as well. Here to help you at McLean Advisory, right around the corner in Waretown, New Jersey. I'd love to talk to you.
Today, we're talking about the psychology of money. Morgan Howell's the author of that book. We have one last lesson from him on our behavior around finances.
Super.
Morgan says one of his first jobs was as a valet at a fancy hotel in Los Angeles. He learned a lot from being around a lot of very wealthy people all of the time.
I think what was really interesting to me was getting to know some of these people who were driving Ferraris and Rolls Royces. Some of them actually were not even that wealthy. They were like mediocre, successful people who spent half their income on a car lease payment. And that to me was really astounding because that just blew apart all of the impressions, my first impressions that I had of these people. So that was a really formative experience that taught me a lot about the psychology of money.
Yeah, that is that. And that'd be no surprise to you, Scott. I'm sure you definitely, you definitely see that as a young person. I can understand thinking, yeah, well, those people might be rich. But as you get older, you realize, those appearances can be deceiving.
You know, the best book I read was when I was younger in the field because everybody had fancy watches, beautiful, nice suits, driving nice cars. And I really wanted that. And of course, my dad luckily kept me grounded. He said, son, that's just temporary. Your heart is forever. Don't get caught up in things. And I said, well, Dad, I like things. He said, well, yes, son, but those things will moth and they'll corrupt. They'll dust to dust, just like all of us. Build a nice, strong financial foundation before you buy those nice toys. So worst case, the toys break. Okay, you don't care. You've got enough money stored up. But again, it's just as he said, people are buying these nice, fancy things to look good, the watches, the nice, fancy cars, the boats, and they look like they got money. But boy, there goes the honey when the market changes. And by the way, on the other side of the coin, for those of you that are like myself, that to me is an opportunity to pick up some inexpensive cars. these nice, if you're a car buff or a
Yeah,
boat
there you go.
buff, or maybe you're buying a house, people go through financial challenges and the psychology kicks in and now they're in deep doo-doo and they have to make quick decisions. And I call this could be a fire sale, and maybe you buy some stuff really at a deep discount, which is what I love doing.
Well, Scott, we're talking today a lot about emotions being tied to money and these, maybe clouding your judgment a little bit when it comes to how you feel about your money and you're trying to plan. And Scott, that's where you can really jump in and you can help people talk it out, and you can help people just being real with them and setting emotion aside. And that's really the point, Scott, is educating people so that, they can have those long retirements and they don't have to worry. And so, Scott, just speak a little bit. If people are out there, they have questions, they're maybe worried, thinking, okay, maybe I've been overconfident, or maybe I am too insecure, maybe I'm doing better than I thought. How could you step in and maybe help out?
People want to get in the market. Obviously, that's what we do. But at this point in time, the question is, should you be in the market? In 2021, the market was just rip-roaring. Nothing could go wrong. It was a heyday. And my counsel to so many people is it was a heyday. Should we take some of the winnings off the table and maybe look at some income-producing items? For example, some items like preferreds, REITs, BDCs, MLPs, investments that pay a nice, juicy dividend. But keep our eye on that. Invest for the I, the income, not for the G, growth. And getting someone to move from the G, growth, and then the market takes a poop, well, they're not feeling very well. Their stomach starts to hurt. Then they start to panic. And the challenge is when you start to panic is the wrong call. This is why, if you have questions, we have answers. We'd love to help people through these concerns. And our clients, by the way, doesn't mean our clients are not nervous. They get nervous, which is why they're able to lean on us. And if they need to call us, they'll call us. And luckily, we've been through this, as you mentioned, Alex. I got in the business in 1982, got licensed in 83. And I can tell you, I've seen all sorts of, from the viruses, the AIDS epidemic to the virus just recently, from the stock market corrections, from the wars, the Gulf War, Vietnam War. I've been through, and I look at history of the stock market, looking at all these different areas. This is kind of why you kind of want to lean on someone who's been doing this for a period of time. They can help guide you and maybe calm you down. That doesn't mean stay in the market. I'm not saying that. But for some of you, as I did the other day, this client put his money in, his wife and husband put their money in a safe position, a very wonderful safe position. They cannot lose, and they're getting a tremendous rate of return. And I said, well, you're going to work for how much longer? They said, we're going to work for another 3 or 4 years. I said, okay, this money you can't lose. How about we dollar cost average and we stick it in the market and we go 100 miles an hour into good, let's say the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Dow and then the international funds. Let's take this money because you're not going to use this until you're 70. So not only are they dollar cost averaging as the market goes down, I educated them on why they're getting more shares of stock as the market's dropping. And when it comes back, like it usually does, when it comes back, what happens? They had a nice heyday on that new money. But the old money, we preserved. They're happy as a pig in slop. They are so excited because they know what they know, and they know how it's going to work. Very great planning on their part, and we're able to help them.
If you have questions, you can contact Scott, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646, add.com there at the end for the website. Scott McLean, and you're listening to Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. More to come.
Hi, this is Bonnie from McLean Advisory Group, wishing you comfort, hope, and joy. Happy holidays. Thanks for listening.
Scott McLean at McLean Advisory Group often talks about the difference between retirement savings and retirement income. It isn't necessarily how much money you have saved that's most important. It's having a steady stream of income. in retirement, no matter how long you live. Scott has strategies that can help you create consistent monthly income for the rest of your life. He can help you make important decisions today so you can have the income you need in retirement. Having a big nest egg is great, but how will it provide you with the income you need for as long as you live? The number to get more information from Scott at McLean Advisory Group is 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Turn your portfolio into a plan with help from Scott McLean. 609-488-4646. Investing involves risk. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
Hey, welcome back to Financial Insanity, out of the box thinking for your financial sanity. And Alex and I have been talking about all sorts of things, so thanks for staying with us. We talk about timeless advice, and Alex has got a few little tidbits I think you've heard many, many times, as well as I have, and you have. I think one of the times too many people spend so much money they earn by buying things they don't want to impress people they don't really like. And so I think about that many times when you go out and you want to impress people, but I hope you don't do that. Alex, what are some of the timeless ideas you have on there that people really need to pay attention to?
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. So we'll start with Warren Buffett. And anybody who knows finances, we know the name Warren Buffett.
Berkshire Hathaway.
Yep. And this man,
Brilliant.
he says this. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. And that's easier said than done. Right, Scott?
Boy, that's the truth. That's why I think in one of our segments we were talking about, Alex, about your budget and really watching your budget. And then, of course, people come in, they want to put their money in the stock market. They want to make $1 million. And, of course, the market drops. Never lose money and never forget rule number 1. But, again, it is easier said than done. There are some vehicles, by the way, out there in the investment world that are up to almost, Alex, I don't know if you know this, but I have seen some vehicles out there that are paying almost 5.3% guaranteed. I haven't seen it in so many years, and it's no fee, no cost. I'm not selling on the radio, by the way. Let me make it real clear. You've seen me on TV. Perhaps you've seen me on the radio, or you've been in person. I've never seen that high of a rate, such a long time, guaranteed for almost 5 years. And if they're looking for some money, imagine putting $100,000, getting an extra $5,300 a year. Great place, but you're watching your money like the rule. You don't want to lose money, and don't forget it. You don't, of course, you want to make sure you don't blow it and, of course, spend it haphazardly. So Warren Buffett knows his numbers. He knows his money, and that's a great rule.
American playwright Tennessee Williams. We're doing timeless advice today on financial insanity. Here's a good one. You can be young without money, but you can't be old without it.
You can be young without money. That's
and
right.
we all have been.
Yeah. You can go to your mom and dad, and because everybody here's had kids, and they can always put their hand in your pocket, or unless you go yell at them and say, "Go get a job." When you get older, I guess you could move back in with your kids. I guess if you don't have any money, you could go on some kind of government benefits. But boy, it sure is tough. I remember going to church and said, "Scott, everything isn't about money." I looked at them. I said, "You're right, but it's right up there with breathing." And I think you got to have that money because you want to buy things and enjoy life and do things. And money isn't everything. I don't worship money. I have others I worship, which is my Lord. But I can tell you one thing. It's good to have it. You need to have it. And I can tell you, when you don't have it, life changes drastically to where it used to be when you were working.
All right. Another one, and you alluded to this one earlier. This one from Will Rogers. Too many people spend the money they earned to buy things they don't want to impress people that they don't like. Why is that a part of human nature, Scott?
It's human nature because I think sometimes when you go out to dinner, I think we spoke about this before, and you end up because you're going with a couple, and they are a lovely couple, and they know that you have a few dollars. I'm sure some of you have realized this, or maybe you go out with the kids. They just expect you to pay because you've done pretty good in life, let's say. Well, that's a crock. I think that's not very nice, but it's real. There's a book on there, a book I was reading, and of course, Who Picks Up the Paycheck is a great book I read. But there are so many timeless advice we talk about. When you think about the Ted Williams and the ideas of impressing people, this is about you and your spouse, you and your family. Focus on yourself. Life has a way of going so fast. The older I get, boy, the smarter my dad is. I can tell you, I think about all the times he told me some wise principles, and I didn't get it. I just nodded my head. But boy, the older I get, the smarter my dad is. So again, you kind of want to watch your dollar. And when you're going out to buy those cigarettes, maybe you should try to cut down. They're very expensive. Or maybe when you go out to buy a sandwich every day, maybe take a lunch with you. These are small, stupid things we were told our whole life. I was told. My parents were very frugal. And these are small, timeless things that really last. Like, don't spend all your money at one place.
609-488-4646. Scott McLean talking about some timeless advice, and a few minutes left here, Scott, and maybe discuss if people are out there and maybe they've heard some rules of thumb, or maybe they think, this little riddle is how much Social Security I'm going to need, or, people pass down information, and some things are timeless. But if people have questions, Scott, I know that you hear some things probably said sometimes, and it probably makes you roll your eyes, but why are you maybe a possible resource for folks if they want some clarity, if they want some direction?
Well, my birthday's coming up for 64 years old on December 30th. So I look for some nice, lovely coal in my stocking and some hugs and kisses at least. I'll take that.
Of course, you'll have plenty.
But yeah, when you think about the timeless concerns and areas of concern is we're going through healthcare. You're getting older, and our lives get a little bit more challenging. Healthy, unhealthy. Where the stock market, should you be in the market, not be in the market? We talk to people all the time. Some people cannot handle it. Psychologically, they can't handle it. Maybe they should be out. And so this is not a cookie cutter solution. Finance is not a cookie cutter solution. I remember talking to you, Alex. We were talking about people putting financial plans together. A financial plan tool, a nice 30-page plan of what to do, that's good for that day. It doesn't last for tomorrow. Life changes. So I hope those of you listening right now, if you've got a concern, I'm here. 42 years will be March 8th, 2023. And being in the business as long as I have, I've seen so many different people. One thing in common is, A, people need the money. B, people want to help their kids. And C, if you don't have any kids, you want to help organizations or your own family. Great. Let's structure it. Because again, by structuring and giving you some ideas with the ability to restructure, structure doesn't mean set it and forget it. It means you're able to restructure because things do change. Kids do get better when they're on the wrong side of the street. Families do get healthy and then they turn unhealthy and things change. So again, you want to avoid those retirement risks. Love to help you. Feel free to give our office a call right here in Waretown, New Jersey. Any questions you have right around Waretown, 609-488-4646. Alex and I try to pour our hearts out because we've done this for so long. And now in our 41st year in the industry, it's still the same. How do I really grow my money, protect my money, and help my family? And I think that's what we're looking at. So Alex, I hope this was helpful for those people listening today. And I think we can help you. If you give our studios a call, I'm here for you, 609-488-4646. My name is Scott McLean, Alex Dingman, here to help you guys. And thanks for joining us at Financial Insanity right here at McLean Advisory Group right here in Waretown, New Jersey.
This presentation may contain information which has undergone regulatory or other significant change since its original recording. The information on this program is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Discussions and answers to questions do not involve the rendering of personalized investment advice and is limited to the dissemination of general information and may not be suitable for members of the listening audience. Communications such as this are not impartial and are provided in connection with advertising and marketing for McLean Advisory Group. Prior to making any investment or financial decisions, an investor should always seek advice from a financial, insurance, legal, or tax professional. McLean Advisory Group and or Scott McLean offer investment advisory and financial planning services through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
This radio show is a paid placement.
Scott McLean at McLean Advisory Group often talks about the difference between retirement savings and retirement income. It isn't necessarily how much money you have saved that's most important. It's having a steady stream of income in retirement no matter how long you live. Scott has strategies that can help you create consistent monthly income for the rest of your life. He can help you make important decisions today so you can have the income you need in retirement. Having a big nest egg is great, but how will it provide you with the income you need for as long as you live? The number to get more information from Scott at McLean Advisory Group is 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Turn your portfolio into a plan with help from Scott McLean. 609-488-4646. Investing involves risk. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.